my second question has to do with your plan to open an immigrant center at the Brooklyn Cruise Terminal. A number of advocates are concerned about the location, the fact it's not accessible to transportation, to jobs, to central New York City, and they're also worried about the fact that it could be open to the elements. Why have you decided to do that? And also, given the fact that the cruises system and season starts like in March or April, isn't it a short-term solution? And what are you going to do?
You know, I don't believe a lot of people are fully comprehending. This is a crisis. This is a crisis. And we have overwhelmed our infrastructure and our capacity to use the traditional methods. We opened 77 emergency hotels, 4 HERCs during the crisis. I have experienced crises before in this city. If you have an emergency, or you have a hurricane, or you have a terrible flood, we utilize ships during COVID-19. People forgot that. We use ships to house people. We opened tents in Central Park during COVID-19. We had trailers in front of hospitals because the morgues were overwhelmed. When there's a crisis, you must use all your tools. And right now, we are a crisis this moment. And so when people analyze what we should do under normal circumstances, I respect that. But what I need for them to do is analyze, how do you respond during a crisis? We are in a crisis, and the federal government must have a national response to this crisis. They have not. I want to thank Senator Schumer, the New York delegation. They were able to get money in the budget, the $8 million from FEMA, but my concern is, where's our national response? So I can understand those who are looking at what we're doing through the prism of a normal situation. What I'm going to ask of them is look at this at the situation of a crisis. The same way we looked at COVID, the same way we respond when there's a major flooding, the same way when we have a natural disaster. That is how we have to see this. And if you don't see it that way, then you're going to sit back and say, well, you're using certain locations. But if you see it as I see it, with all the data, with all the information, I cannot thank my team enough. I've visited other cities. I was in El Paso. People are sleeping on the streets in El Paso. They're sleeping in airports. I spoke to my colleague in Chicago. People are sleeping in the basement of libraries. No family is sleeping on our streets based on how we responded. We are responding to this crisis better than any other municipality. Not only a bed, food, clothing, health care, educating children. It is commendable what New York City is doing to meet their moral and legal responsibilities.